once it goes live. Got it. Yes. Redirected to YouTube. There we go. Make sure I set up the correct chat. Oh, shoot. I wasn't supposed to do that, but that's okay. Uh-oh. Is your basketball game running late? Oh,
wow.
Deutsche.
He's excited.
He must be. All right. Deutsche, we're live now, so shut your yapper.
Jeez.
I know. He's a tough crowd. Okay, I got to go live on the website. Making sure that's up and running. Nothing's messed up. There we go. That's running. And geez, their basketball game running late. That is holding off the start of the podcast. Wow, jeez. He's a tough crowd, isn't he?
He's very tough.
Hello.
He's tough.
I'll have you keep an eye on the chat tonight.
I'll see what I can do.
There's a lot of prep, Deutsche. A lot of prep. Not now. Okay. I'm getting there.
It's okay. I'm right there with you.
People can hear us, but they can't see us. Well, they can see me up in the wood corner. So. That's something I need to fix. I think I can get it so it doesn't show me up in the corner, but I'll figure it out later. Hey, Viggs, are you ready to go here?
Good as I'll ever be.
All right. I guess that's time to start the show. This is the GPL podcast, sponsored by Jerry Peters and First Class Mortgage. Our expertise, your peace of mind. Visit us at firstclassmortgage.com. Now, here's Jupe and Vigo. Good evening and welcome to the GPL podcast, episode number 194, the season premiere for, boy, this has been 11 years, Vigo. How about that? 11 years.
Pretty amazing run that we're on here. Thanks for everyone who listens to us and keeps us going, and our sponsors. We appreciate it. It's a lot of fun.
Well, a lot happened in the off season. Missed Captain Obvious there. But Viggs, you know, oh boy. Let's just say it was a tough off season for Coach Motzko. July 24th, his son Mac Motzko, his son's friend Sham Shuneman, who happens to be Motzko's daughter's boyfriend, were killed in a single car accident. I don't even know what to say. It's just wow, it's just devastating for the Motzko family and for the whole, the hockey community.
Yeah, the hockey community is something special, and we've seen the outpouring of support for people, for the Motzko family, and my heart aches just thinking about it. Jack LaFontaine was talking this week at Availability about it, and he called Bob his Papa Bear to the team, and he's such a strong, courageous man. And Jack emphasized how he couldn't really comprehend or wrap his head around what Bob was going through because he doesn't have children. And I don't know if I could even wrap my head even close to what it's like without having kids myself. And I just can't imagine what he's going through. He said that the world that he had before is gone. And my heart aches. And Jack LaFontaine also said that Bob's a very private man, and he wants to kind of keep this tight to the vest. And, there's a lot of people who want to do things and talk about this and try to be there for him. But I think, if Bob wants his privacy on this, it's best for us to, give him his space and let him be him.
I'm
And
sharing one of the few photos I actually have of Mac. I got this one when Coach Motzko was introduced a few years ago. You could see Mac, with his brother and sister, his mother and father, and Coach Woog just kind of having a moment there. Boy, it's just a tough all around situation, Viggs. I mean, obviously, Coach Motzko was saying that he kind of needs his hockey family at the players might have to pick him up this year at times, which is kind of a reversal of what usually happens.
Yeah, very much so. And I've heard a lot around the arena already about this team feeling like a family and being close together. And they'll have to lean on each other this year because, as much as this is painful for everyone to deal with, this program has a lot in front of it this year and a lot that they want to focus on and achieve.
And it sounds like the person who did this, Mr. James Blue, he's they've charged him with, I believe, 3rd-degree murder. There's probably going to be it'll be dragged out for a long time, unfortunately, for the Motzko and the Schoeneman families, and it's just it's tough to move on, but it's something we had to really talk about here, Viggs, because we've been off since for 6 months or more, close to here, and it's just an unfortunate situation all the way around.
Yeah, I was reading a book this summer by John Feinstein about some of the Ryder Cup stuff and the PGA Tour. And Davis Love lost his father in a plane crash when he was playing on tour, and he said the loss was really hard and it shook him deeply. But one of the things that made it really hard for him was in the golf world. You show up at a different city every weekend to play golf, and you run into people that you haven't seen for a while, maybe not since the plane crash, and everybody wants to let them know that they're behind you. And for a guy like Davis Love, that was really hard because it was really hard to not dwell on the past. And I think that's why Jack said what he said this week. He's like, give Bob space. He knows that people are behind him.
Well, we could talk about this forever here, but there is a season coming up. Boy, a lot of things happen, Viggs. Transfer portal went crazy. People coming back for an extra year. Let's just start off right at the top. Jack LaFontaine coming back for senior year number 2. Boy, that's a huge boost. It doesn't get any bigger than that right off the top.
Goaltending, so important in hockey. Sometimes you could call the game a hockey goalie. It's that important. And when you have a guy who is the Richter Award winner coming back in net, that solidifies things for you. He was so solid for this team last year. I think even kind of coming into the year, Jack wasn't sure what to expect. Mm-hmm. And as the games just started happening, he kept on a roll and took control of the net and never really gave it away. And Jared Moe, I think, saw that. And he took advantage of the portal to go to Wisconsin because goalies like to play goalie. They don't like to sit on the bench and practice all the time. So, there's some consternation that he went to Wisconsin, maybe by the Gopher Puck Live Twitter account. But
Trader Moe,
yeah. Just making friends. Just making friends.
LaFontaine threw me under the bus for it. I'm so glad he did. The fans are pissed.
Yeah,
it's
difficult.
And I'm guessing, he's defending his guy. He's one of his good friends, but I'm also guessing that a lot of players aren't happy that one of their players went to the biggest enemy you have.
That will be a circle the calendar series.
It will be
Minnesota, Wisconsin fans. It'll be great, but it's great to have Jack back. He basically said it was never really a doubt in his mind that he wanted to be back. he has never come into a season where he's been the clear-cut number one who is going to play a lot of games.
Mm-hmm.
So he is ready for that challenge this year. He trained pretty hard so he could play a lot of games this year. That's what he's expecting. And, you can't take that for granted. You saw Strauss-Mann leave Michigan early to try to sign a pro contract somewhere. It didn't develop. And now he's playing in Sweden. I don't think that's what he expected when he left Michigan. I think if he knew he would have been playing in Sweden, maybe he would have came back to Ann Arbor for another year and tried to go for a run with that group that they have coming in. But Jack said, this is home to me. I want to be a Gopher. I love Minnesota. He's going to graduate school at Paul Martin right now, working on a youth social work program. And I think the fans and the team are lucky to have him.
And well, the whole deal was here, folks, is that anybody who was on the roster last season gets an extra year. That's pretty much what's happening. And that's how, it happens to every school. Anybody who participated in the last season can get an extra year if they want to, if the team works out. We had also a couple players leave, besides Jared Moe. We had Nathan Burke, who was a junior, decided to go to Bowling Green. Robbie Stucker moved on to Vermont. You have Brandon McManus, who would have been a senior, who was a senior, getting that second year. Not a space here for him, I guess. So he went to Omaha. And then there were some unclaimed Gophers, Noah Weber, Cullen Munson, and Sam Rossini. Munson and Rossini also seniors that were unclaimed, but that's kind of the crazy part of the people who left. We also had one guy coming in, and that was Grant. Is it Cruikshank is how you spell his last name?
Cruikshank, yeah.
Out of Colorado College, decided he wanted to continue his career over here in Minnesota. Did he speak any of the times when you were at Mariucci this week?
He hasn't spoken yet, other than just in passing and certain things. We've talked a lot about him and the availabilities. He's a two-time captain from Colorado College. When he lost his coach at CC, Haviland got fired. He's like, you know what? I'm ready to try something different. I came here to play for him. And when he was looking for a place to go, Wisconsin came calling, which is kind of a funny story with him because he originally was committed to Wisconsin.
Really?
Under Mike Eves. And when the coaching transition happened from Eves to Granado, the scholarship terms changed. And I don't know how familiar everyone is with how college hockey recruiting works. There are only 18 scholarships available to spread out among your entire roster. So a lot of times these coaches are promising percentages of scholarships to different players coming in. And it gets to be a tricky, almost a salary cap like magic for coaches to figure out how to fit guys they want to come in versus guys leaving, all that stuff, save scholarship, cap for later years, things like that. And so he didn't like that. And so I think he always saw himself maybe as a Badger, but now when it came time to transfer, he definitely did not want to go back there. And so he wanted to play for Minnesota and maybe stick it to them a little bit. So that'll be a fun series for him.
It definitely will be. And also, he's got some famous lineage in his family. His mother is Bonnie Blair. And for those of us that are a little older, Bonnie Blair was a superstar speed skater, gold medalist, all around Olympic champion.
Yeah, she's got some medals in her house. I know there's been a few stories. Jess Myers has written a couple stories. I know Dave Schwartz went and did a story on that family. And they have like this coffee table that's like shadow boxes of medals, which is pretty cool. And the boy definitely got some good genes for holding his edge doing crossovers. He is a smooth, strong skater, very stable base. We've been joking at the stands right now. The numbers on the back of the helmets are kind of small. And so us guys, as we get older, it's hard to see the numbers and make sure you know who everybody else, especially with the 6 new forwards this year. But you can tell Grant's who he is. He just skates, holds his edge very well. Good, strong skater.
I'm looking at the chat for the live YouTube broadcast, and Eric Brever says, "Welcome to the new era of college hockey. With the NILs, the no weight transfers. It's kind of a wild west right now, Vigs."
It sure is, and it's not going to be going away because I think we're going to see the repercussions of this for the next 2, 3, 4 years. And Minnesota was in a tough spot. Brandon McManus, I think, kind of wanted to come back, but Bob really has a full recruiting pipeline coming in. And I think it was really difficult for him to kind of manage that and the type of player Brandon is with the roster he needs to put together. And so that's probably why there wasn't a fit there.
Well, and, he was a fun kid. He had his 4 years here, and time to move on, I guess. Like I said, it's just the way that college hockey is now. It's a crazy wild west. I think initially it's going to be crazy here because so many kids have that extra year of eligibility. So it's going to take another 3 years for this to, I would say, to settle down a little bit.
Yeah, I mean, we're seeing a trickle down effect. It's affecting rosters in the USHL, NHL, high school. Guys typically who would play that before and after year in the USHL don't have that option because those rosters are pretty full. There's a lot of 2001 birth dates who are still playing USHL hockey this year, which is a little unusual.
Mm-hmm. Definitely unusual. But before we get more into the team here, we just had one little bit of news come out in the last week that Augustana University is looking like they're going to start a program. Are they crazy, Vigs?
Why not? If you can get the rink going and
the funding,
there are plenty of players to put together a successful D1 hockey program, especially in the Midwest here. You're going to be close to recruiting, and people like new stuff. New rinks and new teams are cool. Like, we see how quickly St. Thomas is putting together their roster. They're going to be competitive pretty quickly.
I think you're right, and I actually think their women's team might be more competitive even faster.
Very much so.
St. Thomas is a excellent school, and I would say on the women's side, women take school a lot more seriously in their decisions to play hockey. Sometimes you see superstars going out east and going to these high, Brown and Harvard, whatever it may be, because they know they're going to get an excellent education.
Yeah, I think the women's team is going to do better right away. And I think one of the things with women's hockey is, the pipelines aren't as backed up as the men's ones.
Mm-hmm.
Men have had players committing at 14, 15, 16 for a long time. You get some of that in the women's game, but there's more opportunity to make yourself a power quicker.
Definitely the case.
And you don't have to deal with all the junior hockey stuff with the women's game.
Yeah, well, that is also true. I mean, you do have to deal with the international teams though more.
Well, for an up and coming team,
if you got the superstars like Minnesota, Wisconsin, they tend to lose players for an entire year or two sometimes when they go play for Team USA, they go play for Team Canada.
It's a good problem to have, though, I bet, for those schools.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Remember that used to happen back in the 80s and the 90s.
Well, I still think
every once in a while you'd lose a player. It wasn't Chorsky one of those guys who went to like the Olympics and they lost a year and he was gone. And
yeah, back when they would spend the whole year playing for the Olympic team, that Herb Brooks model, they'd grab them for the whole year. And by the way, Eric Brever, that rink is coming quick. I think we'll get an announcement here in the next month or two.
And Brenthoven's got a great, point to saying, hey, UND women's team's gone now. It's a good place to kind of fill in another spot.
Yeah, I definitely think there's room for more college women's teams around. It's surprising there isn't a team in Michigan yet. I know Northern Michigan is threatening to put together a team. That would be good for the game.
It will be interesting to see how it does change Minnesota on the men's side. Having a team so close, similar to like the Boston schools, just up the road. It would be interesting if they could build some kind of rivalry with St. Thomas.
I think it will take a while for that to happen. I think Rico is going to have kind of his own recruiting plan. The waters of Minnesota are fished pretty hard, so it might be difficult for St. Thomas to rise and compete with that. So I think they'll try to do it a little bit different way. Maybe more
Mm-hmm.
that Mike Hastings method of player development. Get a lot of older kids to commit and stay in juniors longer, and then come more ready to play. But we'll see. It's early. I think it's kind of cool that Minnesota is going to do an exhibition with them sometime after Christmas, and that'll be good for the two teams.
Target
I
field.
I'm
Mm-hmm.
holding out hope that it is Target Field. We'll see.
That would be fun. That would be fun. Well, we're very happy to have Jerry Peters back this year again, sponsoring the podcast. He leapt at the opportunity. It was really nice of him to jump on board. So let's hear from Jerry.
Hey, fellow GPLers, Jerry Peters here from First Class Mortgage. Have you refinanced your home in the last 12 months? If you haven't, chances are you should. Record low interest rates and skyrocketing home values make this the perfect time to remove monthly PMI while improving your interest rate at the same time. You can also use the equity in your home to finance those home improvement projects. Or you can consolidate high interest rate credit cards into one new low monthly payment. To hear more, call or text me today at 612-940-3291. You can email me at jerry@firstclasscorp.com, or you could go to firstclassmortgage.com to fill out a free online application. Mention the GPL podcast and receive a $300 closing cost credit. Some restrictions do apply. First Class Mortgage's NMLS number is 322842 minus 480200. This is not an agreement to lock into an interest rate under Minnesota law. First Class Mortgage is an equal housing lender.
Of course, thank you, Jerry, again for sponsoring the GPL podcast. We really appreciate it. It's nice to have you on board again this year. Vigs, I've got some notes here about talking about freshmen and stuff, but I started to think that we did talk about quite a bit, of what the freshmen coming in on our last show last year. So I thought I'd hit up a couple questions that kind of leans towards that. Steve Larson on Twitter here. What are the early expectations for Chaz Lucius?
I think they're pretty high. Garrett Boyne was on Beyond the Pod earlier this year and commented that Lucius, elite scorer for his age group, everywhere he's been the last 5 years. I show up at practice. Where is he on the ice during the power play portion of practice? On the half wall with some talented players. I think he's going to be in the power play pretty much right from the start. He has got the ability to catch pucks that probably shouldn't be caught and put them on net. He has the amazing intrinsic ability to catch passes and shoot quickly. And that is something Minnesota has missed on the flanks on the power play since they had Sheehy and Pitlick. Like, they have just not had guys who can shoot from the flanks. They have trouble getting pucks off, a lot of block shots, and it's really hurt the power play. Bob talked about that the other day. He's like, what was the power play last year? 19%. It was 17.7. It was not good. The power play is something that's been holding this team back, and getting a guy like Lucius will change that, I think, for them. And we'll see that pretty quickly here, I think, from the start of the year.
I noticed you talked about another guy out there. I'm going to kind of set you up here with Dale Beers asking, besides Lucius, which newcomer has the big first year potential? Would that be Mr. Nice? Because boy, he's been getting a lot of air going recently.
Yeah, Nyes apparently burned it up at the World Junior Summer Showcase and had a good finish to the season in Tri-City. He kind of had a tough start to his season last year, but he has just gotten better and better and better. And you watch him on the ice in these practices, he competes, he stops and starts hard, he bends his knees, and he's another guy who is put on that power play unit with Lucius. And you just see that work ethic and compete that you're looking for out of a mature freshman. which he is. He is all of 6'2", 200 plus, and he's ready to play college hockey. Even Motzko is commenting what a great skater he is. Not just a good skater, a great elite skater, and that's surprising him. So that's a good thing for Gopher fans. He's going to step right in and make an impact. Benny Myers says, if Bob takes him off my line, I might crap Bob on the ankles with my stick. Don't take him away from me. I want to be on a line with that guy. I mean, if you can imagine a guy like Jackson Nelson on a line with Nyes and Myers, that's some big heavy horses coming down the ice. It could be a meat line.
Wow, that's a Rubes reference right there. I don't know. I'm pretty huge right now. I guess I would fit right in on the old meat line, Vigs. Oh boy. Well, one thing, all the freshmen, well, except for a goaltender, our forwards this year, centers, all the main defensemen are back. Nobody young coming in. Experience huge. Obviously, a great positive there. But would you have liked to have seen Motzko maybe mix in a freshman or two on the defense? And he's right at 8 defensemen right now, so that is a little tight than he usually has on his roster.
I think he would have liked Stucker to stick around just to have that security blanket if something does happen. But other than that, the top 6 is the top 6. They are going to play most games. I don't see anybody outside the Johnson, Faber, Stoddard, Lacombe, Brinkman, Castor coming out. Those are 6 veteran returning guys. I don't really think there's a weak spot in there in terms of their role and their ability. They're all veterans. They all know what they're doing. They all have bought into a role last year and were very successful. So I see the mindset where, you could come in, but you're not really going to play. And I think that would be really hard for anybody as a selling point. They've got Fish back there. If something does happen, he's more that Brinkman, Stoddard kind of player, and maybe he's ready after some of this time. But I don't think he'll crack that top 6 unless there's injury stuff.
I think they may crack the top 6 maybe the first couple weekends, just to, maybe just to get him in there, because after that, Vigs, it's tough slaying.
But also in college hockey, you don't have time to mess up. These aren't throwaway games. These all count. They'll get that exhibition with the U.S. team, and they'll get the exhibition with St. Thomas. But there's not a lot of times to screw around in college hockey. You can't really develop players on the fly if you're not going to play them. So I think those guys are going to have to make their mark in practice. And I know Fish and Denman last year would do that in practice from time to time and really challenge the guys, which is good for practice. But I think in terms of a top 6, it's pretty clear.
So, I'm thinking, we got all these Lucius and we've got Nyes. I don't think our goalie's going to get much time. I think LaFontaine's going to be pretty much in all the time. But let's talk about the key returners. I mean, we know the names. Who needs to step it up? Who needs to kind of pull their weight a little more than they have previously, as the years have passed?
I feel like we've said this for the last 2 years. But Walker and McLaughlin need to take a jump in their game. There is a level to their game when they are playing well that is far higher than the night to night effort you see from them. And I don't think it's a want or a trying thing. I think it's just a stick to it thing going on. They have another level to hit. And when they're on, like when McLaughlin plays Notre Dame, you see a completely different player than when you see him out there against, Michigan State for whatever reason. And I think with Walker, sometimes against the good teams, you see his best game because he's engaged at both ends of the ice and he uses his speed to get back on defense and force turnovers and then get in transition. But you just don't see that enough. And I think for this team to really compete at the highest level, they need those 2 guys going because they're important guys in the locker room. They're important guys on the bench, and they're going to be important guys for the coach.
Now, how much does a Lucius and a Nyes help these kind of guys? Because these guys are big playmakers, or even maybe a veteran like Crookshank.
It's hard to say who's going to play with them at this point. We've seen a couple different guys with them. I've seen Rhett Pitlick with them. I've seen Brodzinski with them. So we'll see what happens. Maybe Crookshank comes in there to give them a little stability. I think sometimes last year they put Scott Reedy with them, to try to settle them down a little bit. But we'll see. I think Motzko has shown he likes to pair guys together and then try to mix in one other player. And he's tried to split up Walker and McLaughlin at times, and he loses both of them. So they get back together. It's funny. Walker joked about this week. He's like, they call themselves peanut butter and jelly. Whatever happens, you can't pull them apart.
I don't know if I'm happy about that or not.
it's for better or worse. I mean, if this team's going to be good, you need those two guys going, because when they're playing well, like against Michigan, against Notre Dame, this team hits another level. When they get frustrated, like they did in Minnesota State in the elimination game last year, that kind of dives into the whole team, and the whole team starts to lose its shape and structure. And maybe that extra year maturity keeps them from getting to that spot again. We'll see.
Pitlick a little banged up, not going to play this weekend.
Yep, he got banged up earlier this week, so he won't be available this weekend. So you'll see things shuffled around a little bit.
All right, let's hit up some more questions. Steph numbers free, whatever that means on Twitter. It's back to the rink here, Viggs. Is the goal of making Mariucci Arena NHL size still on track, or is the timing delayed to all the recent events and challenges funding? Just one little clarification: they're not going to be going to NHL size. They're going to be a hybrid because they can't really fit it in there. But COVID just messed up everything, didn't it, Viggs?
Yeah, I mean, the athletics budget's kind of shot right now with all the revenue they lost during the pandemic. One thing that Mark Coyle has magically done is convince the university's financial officer to allow athletics to use their commercial paper program, which is a financing option the university has to take on $500 million in debt. And that debt only pays about a 1% interest rate, but it has to be paid back every year. Usually that money is spent to like repair buildings and, meet budget shortfalls in departments and things like that, pretty small
Typically
things.
More emergency type of things.
More emergency kind of things. But he's convinced the chief financial officer to allow athletics to use that money to cover their shortfall during the pandemic. And he's allowing the athletics to use that money to do things like address the ice plant at Ritter and Mariucci. So I think,
and that's a big deal, because it's not just the size of the rink; it's actually the equipment below the ice or below the concrete.
Yeah, the refrigerant that they currently use is being phased out. I don't think you can buy anymore. It's just an existing supply, so it's expensive. And if there were to be some sort of leak, it would be a big financial expense for the U to take care of. So they are going to be able to use this money to redo the rink and the ice plant. I think that means the timeline could move up as soon as next year, but it all kind of depends on how this year goes, with the pandemic and with ticket sales and how athletics does with revenues. But I think if it's a good year, we could see a smaller rink by, 22, 23. It's right on track. It's in the 6-year plan.
Oh boy.
Look out.
Exciting.
Could be exciting.
Steve Larson, in your guys' opinion, what are the early expectations of this team? For me, I think the expectations are very high, Viggs. Returning defense, returning goalie. You did lose a little bit on the forwards, but you're gaining a ton and you're getting more experience back. So for me, the expectations are very high, like Frozen 4 type of high.
I don't think you can shy away from expectations this year. That they return all their centers, and they have a fifth center if they want to. Myers, Walker, Nelson, Perbix. Sorensen's played center. I know they tried out Lucius there at center a little bit earlier in the season when they're training, but I think they're going to go with vets down the middle. And with all the D coming back, they probably have the best D core in the country. And I was listening to Brad Schlossman today with Chris Peters on their podcast, And Brad was saying that, when you look at teams that win the NCAA tournament, it's because of deep defensive units who can move the puck and control the game. The Gophers have a defensive unit who can do that, and they've got some defensemen who can be a little nasty. Stoddaker and Brinkman and Fish are guys who can be nasty, but you have guys who are skill, can shut down other teams' forwards. Brock Faber's done that at the international level. Every tournament he's been in. Ryan Johnson can skate with anybody. Jackson Lacombe is developing his offense. This is a deep group. I don't think they're going to need to win shootouts because they'll be able to control games so well. So I got to think Big Ten title, number 1 seed, Frozen Four. Those are the expectations for this team.
And there's also some extremely high expectations on those Michigan Wolverines too, Vigs. I mean, wow, their young lineup is quite impressive, but still got to put it all together. And I don't think their defensemen are as deep as Minnesota. They've done a great job over there bringing in talent, but I think Mel Pearson hasn't developed the depth of older players like Minnesota has. I think that's what makes this Minnesota roster so unique, is they are very much a veteran group. Even the younger guys have played lots of junior hockey who are coming in now. They've played that, senior year and post-senior year of junior. They're ready. We'll see. I think if Strauss-Mann was back for Michigan, it'd be a fair battle. Portillo really hasn't been through the ringer like a lot of the other goalies have been. So I think that's a big question mark for Michigan. I'm excited about it because I've always loved that Michigan rivalry. Maybe others haven't, but that has been one of my favorite rivalries since going back to the College Hockey Showcase days. I would love to see both teams duke it out for the Big Ten title. That would just be a fun season.
Yeah, I think Michigan probably has the higher octane offensive players, but I think in a matchup with Minnesota, though, Minnesota has the defensemen to shut them down.
Okay, we got Todd Davis on Twitter here. He's although they're hosting Mercyhurst, I should say, excuse me. Is there a lack of Eastern school? Why is there a lack of Eastern schools on the Gopher hockey schedule? No Hockey East, ECAC. Do you foresee this having a negative pairwise implications come selection time? This has kind of been a bit of a theme for about 20 years, Vigs. We haven't seen the Eastern schools as often as they used to in the 80s and the 90s.
Yeah, I think the scheduling of the Eastern schools is difficult for Minnesota, especially because the Gophers want to play St. Cloud, UMD, UND. They need those rivalries. If the Gophers don't schedule those games, the fans kind of get up in arms. It's like, I want to see them play the old rivals. I want to see how they stack up against the MCHC. So I think their hands are tied where they kind of have to have those 3 series against, those 3 schools, Minnesota State, throw in Bemidji State every once in a while. Eventually here it's going to be St. Thomas. The schedule needs those teams to make people happy. And so I think it just gets trickier to schedule these Eastern teams because maybe you'd like to bring them in for the holiday tournament. Well, they've got their own holiday tournaments and things. Mm-hmm. You don't want to necessarily always open up your schedule either with like BC or BU. That's 0 to 60 real quick. It's much different to play Alaska and Mercyhurst and
Lucia's first game.
Army.
Lucia's first game was against number 1 Boston College at Mariucci Arena. It was fun. They did beat him the second night, but it is disappointing that we don't see those teams anymore. But like you said, it's just kind of how things go now. And I'm actually looking forward to hopefully, CC coming to Mariucci. I was hoping they would come this season. Maybe they'll come next year because we did go out there last year.
I think the coaching change at CC might, push that off a little bit. So
maybe,
we'll see.
And COVID and everything is just all messed up with, because, you had put together that like that on our, the page, the future schedules on GPL. And, I just got to put a note on there, things are kind of up in the air right now. We just don't know what's going to happen with scheduling. We're coming, UND is right back on and they're just following the schedule, but some of these other games, they could be a little goofy. So
I do think from a pairwise perspective, it is really important not to mess up these first 4 games.
Oh boy.
If you mess up one of these first 4 games, it's silly to think about this early in the year, but like those have pairwise implications because all of a sudden you start losing all your comparisons to those schools. So it could impact you that way. I think whatever happens with NCHC, your comparisons are going to be fine because that's such a strong league. Big Ten will be a pretty strong league, I would imagine. So I think when your schedule is mostly made up of those groups, you're fine. But it's just when you have these 4 games against these small schools, you just don't want to mess those up. So
no, you don't. No, you don't.
I don't think this will be a pairwise bubble team, but it could affect seeds.
You know, we saw Brian Deutsch tweeting the other day talking about, you know, how pairwise is starting. It's, but I'm like, don't even worry about it, kid. They won't have to worry about pairwise this year. Let's just hope that's true. But you know,
we'll just be worrying about it for seeding. So
correct. But I'm looking at this October schedule. I mean, it starts off a little slow. You know, we've got Alaska and Mercyhurst, not traditional powerhouses. But then, you know, you're right into St. Cloud and Duluth for home and homes. And then you open up the Big Ten at the end of October with, you know, with Notre Dame at Mariucci Arena. It's a fun start to the season, I think.
I think it's a great start. We should see some entertaining hockey, I think, right away. I think my son pointed out to me that the Gophers beat Alaska 12-0 once. You know, maybe we'll see something like that this weekend. There's a lot of firepower for Minnesota.
It's
Alaska
been a while since we've seen some of those.
Can we get a double Culvers? Do you get 2 free Culvers if they score 10?
It's a free for all.
Yep. So Culvers is back. Yep. Enjoy that.
But it looks like a fun October. You know, Alaska is coming down this weekend. And I don't know how many times I've been asked, or you've been asked probably, what's the TV situation? Okay, here's the deal, folks. Big Ten has the first say on whatever games are going to be on for Minnesota and all the other teams. They take their own damn sweet time figuring out what they want to do because they're waiting for football. They're waiting for basketball because, sorry, those pay the bills. And probably even wrestling down the line, volleyball and everything else. They have to figure a lot of things out. And then they come back, you know, with very little time left and say, here you go, University of Minnesota. We're going to do these games. Do what you want with the rest. And then all of a sudden, you know, Minnesota is left scrambling with, you know, Bally Sports Network, the new name this year. And it's just not as simple as it used to be, Vigs. It's just crazy, but we are down to the wire here. I'm hearing one of the games this weekend will be on TV, but still nothing out yet. So maybe that's falling apart. Help us out, Vigs. What's going on?
We'll get one game this week on TV. Sorry. Just one.
I'm thinking it's a Sunday game, and it's probably going to be Bally Sports North Plus on Sunday at 4 p.m. Saturday, get to the game.
Get to the game. I think there's about 3,000 seats available. So get to gophersports.com, get your ticket, support the team. They could use it. It's been a tough 2 years for them.
It does sound like the Mercyhurst games will be on Bally Sports North. You know, the home game against St. Cloud and Duluth. That's as far as I kind of know. Just from
things will get back to more normal. Like the university worked as hard as they possibly could to get every game that they control on TV. They are doing everything they can. They are signing whatever needs to happen from the University of Minnesota side to make this stuff happen. This is, I think Bally's kind of dropping the ball a little bit. That's the only thing it could be to me, is that there's just not enough time to get it done. You know, when you've got the university trying to set game times, anticipating maybe hitting TV windows, and then that TV window is no longer the one that they were trying to hit. Now it's too late to change your campus plan. You know, it's so complex at an institution like Minnesota to get all these, you know, round things into square holes, square things around holes, whatever it is.
Yes.
Try not to blame the University of Minnesota. They're doing the best they can. You know, hockey is not the prime driver for the Big Ten network, and most of the games will be there. And if you're a cable cutter, BTN Plus is going to be great. You can get that stream all season for $50.
Yeah, isn't there a special package for like, was it $59 where you get both the men's and women's?
Yep. Get all the Big Ten hockey games for the whole year for $59. It's a great deal.
Oh, better just get down to the arena on Saturday,
Well,
folks.
yeah.
Come
do that
on
too.
down.
Come on down.
I won't be there.
I'll be there Saturday. I'll be
I'll
there.
be camping.
It's opening night.
I'll be there Sunday afternoon.
Sunday, I've got mini mic practice. I can't be there. My kids
There
need me.
you go. So let's talk about this weekend, Viggs. I don't know much about Alaska. Yeah, I'm guessing you don't know a lot about Alaska too, but I'm guessing we really should be just predict and sweep and just go with it, because let's go with 2 8-0 wins. There,
Yeah,
done.
I think Culver's both nights is the expectation from this person.
I like that point of view. Culver's both nights.
Culver's
minimum
both nights.
expectations.
Mm-hmm.
Wonder how they're going to do Culver's now, because it used to be the back of your ticket.
I know. Show your QR code. I don't know.
I don't know.
The tickets have worked well for football. You just put them in your Apple Wallet or your Google Wallet, and then just show them. They scan them. I know Mark Coyle was at the first football game helping people navigate their apps and stuff to get in, which is nice to see from the AD, man of the people.
Yeah, but you know what? There's still a lot of people who do not have smartphones.
Yep.
It's obviously you want to make the change over these years. You want to make things easier, but there's still a lot of people, you know what? They don't want to mess with it. I think of poor Brent Hoven, in the chat with his flip phone. What's he going to do?
He's got to plan ahead.
Can they do barcodes? Hey, Brent, can you do barcodes on your flip phone? Does that work? Is that a monochrome screen too?
Probably. It might not work. I don't know. You have to print something off or will call. I don't know.
Well, it is a big weekend. Like you said, we can't have any stumbling. There can be no stumbling. They need to win both these games. It would be nice if they won them both convincingly. But just win, baby. Just win.
Yeah, I don't expect to see any problems. They've got so many players coming back that I don't think you'll see any kind of Bowling Green type let down out of the hockey program. They know what's going on. I'll be interested to see who gets paired with which centers. That's the biggest surprise for me. I think we'll see, Walker, McLaughlin together with Brodzinski. I think we'll see Nyes and Myers together to start. But I think with the rest of the freshmen, he's going to try to sprinkle them around the lineup.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't think you'll see guys like, Huglin and Lucius together. I don't think you'll see, Huglin or Lucius with Myers and Nyes. So you'll see guys sprinkled around the lineup. And I think Bob will just be rolling 4 lines, because I think he basically expects all 4 lines to kind of compete for being the first line.
That's nice.
It's kind of one of those challenges where he's like, I kind of think all 4 lines are kind of even against each other. Mm-hmm. And on top of that, no power play spots are going to be given this year. I will believe it when I given. I will believe it. I will believe it when I see it, because I saw a group of 5 put out there every weekend last year, pretty much regardless of what was happening. And you ended up with 17.7%. So we will see what happens with the power play units. I thought that Ranta Reedy unit should have started every power play last year, but I digress. I want to see it.
Well, we're into season 11 here, Viggs. We're having fun with this podcast. We've been doing it forever here. We're approaching 200 episodes. We've got a lineup of guests coming up. We've got Nate Wells coming in next week. And following that, we've got Pat Micheletti lined up. We've got Schlossman from up in North Dakota. Of course, Cappy for Ohio State. We've just got all the regulars scheduled for this year. So it looks like it's going to be a fun year, at least on our podcast side.
I think it's going to be a fun year all around. We're back to doing in-person media availabilities, which is great to see everyone face to face. We asked Bob, I thought you guys would like Zoom. You just stay at home. You don't have to park. It's like, Bob, I love coming to the rink, watching practice and getting to shoot the breeze with people off camera. It's just so much of a relief to see everybody that way. And, the team's 100% vaccinated. That's great. It's going to be a great year.
I haven't been to Mariucci since the 2019 season. Is that last game against Notre Dame?
it still looks pretty similar. So the mural's been updated a little bit, so there's some new faces up there.
So it like you said, it'll just be nice to get back into the arena. Masks or not, I don't care. I'll just be nice to be back in the arena, and like you said, kind of just see the gang, the employees you see at Mariucci, every year. Wally and Frank, BSing with them. The stats crew. It'll just be fun to get back there, Viggs.
It will be. And I think you'll see a little bit of normalcy back in the rink, other than the masks, which they are asking people to wear in all university buildings. But get back and see your friends.
I wouldn't mind so much because it's a little cold in there.
I noticed that when I was coaching hockey outdoors this last winter. I was like, the mask is kind of a good touch. It keeps me out there a little longer.
Warm.
Keeps the frostbite away.
I'm not sure if I would like it at Williams Arena. It's a little warmer in there.
They've got AC in there now.
Still warm.
That volleyball crowd.
So what you working on right now, Viggs? I mean, you're heading down to Mariucci. You're seeing these players. Anything you're working on right now?
You're gonna see a little something on GPL this weekend. There's going to be some information on the last time we had fans in the building. I will share some scan ticket information with people so that they can have a little bit of insight into what they're shooting for this year in terms of tickets and numbers and attendance. So I think people enjoy that. And I'm putting together a little bit of my perspective on the Motzko family and just what the team has said about the whole situation, and just give some perspective on it heading into the year. I think it's something I just kind of want to touch on at the start of the year, and then, kind of put it in a box and set it aside and move forward. But I think, there's a couple important things I've heard in the last month that are worth sharing.
Okay. Sounds great, Viggs. You got anything else for our opening episode here, except for excitement to be back at Mariucci?
I'm excited to be back at Mariucci. The pipeline is full for the Pride on Ice. The current roster is reloaded for this season, and the expectations are as high as I can remember. I mean, this is
great.
This is an opportunity this program has ahead of it that they have not had for a while. They are not runner-up contenders. They are title contenders this year.
I would agree. Well, that's going to do it for this season 11 premiere of the GPL podcast. We'll be back next week with Nate Wells on Gopher State, and we'll wrap up the Alaska series with him and, preview the Mercyhurst coming into Mariucci. For those of you currently watching live on YouTube, stay tuned for a little bit of overtime. For the rest of you, thanks for listening, and we'll catch you next week. Doing my Eli Manning imitation there.
There you go.
God, I screwed up so many things today.
You did? How many things did you screw up? First night.
Let's start up with the audio recording.
Oh boy.
I forgot to select my own track to record in the beginning. So that's one thing. So I have to go back, and I forgot to hit record on Zoom.
Boy.
So I'm going to have to go back to this YouTube.
You have to edit the YouTube
to grab some audio, which it's fine. I mean, it's not a huge deal, but it's just more editing and more BS. Who knows? All right, Viggs. Okay, let me go to let's go to the speaker view, and you have to talk and have to show us what the beverage of the week is here.
Let's see. Beverage of the week. It is a Bourbon County Goose Island Reserve. And it's their special. I don't know. Can we get the focus on there? I've got too much light, maybe. Too much light?
You fancy light? Ring light.
How's that? Is that any better? You see that? Anyway, it's a stout aged in an 11-year-old Knob Creek Bourbon Barrel. It's from 2017. Celebrated the 25th anniversary of Knob Creek. Comes out every Black Friday. And this has been sitting in my basement for a little too long. And it's time to open it up because this is one of my favorite times of the year.
It is my favorite time of the year. Hockey's
Cheers,
starting.
everyone.
Fall is amazing. My favorite season by far.
Yes, Tim, I've got to do something down here. I've got stuff on this wall over here, bookshelf, but we've got a guest bed down here, and it's like
I've rearranged myself.
We haven't been able to use it, but
I've got a nice little cabinet here, which I've got my Gopher stuff right here.
Mm-hmm.
Old name tag from my last job, and a picture of my girls, both graduation, some other stuff. An old Wahoo board up here. And that Wahoo board is basically the game of Sorry. It's from the 1950s. And I refurbished that. And then I got some more Astro photos over here and put the jersey up tonight. But I've been working from home forever, so I just kind of wanted to make it more of an office.
Working on
I remember I was just kind of looking at our last overtime, how, I wasn't going to drink that night because I was about to meet the new agency, leader.
You probably should have drank that night.
About a month later, she let me go.
Yeah.
I was unemployed for over a month.
You got some nice bike rides in.
No, I didn't.
Didn't you take that month and just kind of like
no, I needed to find a job. I was working.
You were working hard. Okay.
I was trying to find an employment because a lot of times they say it takes, however many years or how many months to find a job. But yeah,
with your network, never a doubt.
The funny thing is, I now work at the same company that our boy Gray Eagle works at. 3M. So
you got to call 3M at Mariucci now, right? You got to get that in there every time.
Probably not.
Can you do?
It's tough. It is real tough. So yeah, I totally screwed up tonight. Forgot to record on Zoom. Messed up the recording. Where I'm like looking at it going, why am I not recording? And it's only you, so it'd be really odd.
Yeah.
So I'm gonna have to try to sneak in the first, what is it? About 3 minutes and 20 seconds. 3 minutes, 30 seconds of audio from our video eventually here. And because also it would have been nice. If I would have hit record on Zoom, it would have given me a separate audio file. But why not make it more difficult for myself?
Why not?
So it'll be a little Brian Deutsch is in the chat. Oh boy, he's been sneaking in there, hasn't he?
It's good. We could invite him on the show now. We've never got him on.
Yeah, Deutsch, why don't you come on the show? He's stressed enough as it is.
It's just overtime. Nobody's watching.
How much is
how many people? We got 25.
How much is Jess Myers bugging him about the TV schedule and everything else right now?
He's trying to keep the rink live going, and I liked his first 4.
He's got features. Some great stories. His features are great, bar none.
Although I gotta say, my story on the nanny family, I thought I had a lot of that stuff in there already.
Ooh,
but that's okay. Lou likes to tell the same story again. Just like Bob likes to tell everybody the story about LaFontaine loading the bus and unloading the bus with bags. That came up this week, and Jess asked Jack about it. Jack's like, "Oh, Bob's still telling that story, huh?" He likes that story. Likes that one.
Oh boy, that's interesting. Fun times.
But I don't know. I'm glad he's there. We had some TV availability people there this week, so that was good. So
yeah, I did see Schwartz did a report on both the men's and women's team.
Yep, that was good to see.
Yes,
did not see Chuck there from Channel 5, but I think they might have had cameras there though. So
Chris Long,
yeah, or Chuck Long. No,
Chris Long.
Chris Long, right?
Chuck Long is the old is the old quarterback. Wasn't he at Iowa or something like that?
Yeah, Chuck Long. I said Chris Long, didn't I? Or did I say
He's
Chuck
busy
Long?
with work and chores and home. Yeah, he's Deutsch is busy.
He's got Deutsch had a busy year. The athletic budget cuts have not been kind to the SID staff. I don't know how much people know about like what happened at the U during the pandemic, but like everybody who's making more than $50,000 or $40,000 had to start taking graduated pay cuts all the way up. And like I'm sure people here, the coaches took 10% cuts, but not only that, the U kind of stopped hiring people. So like if someone left and took another job, that work usually doesn't disappear. So that work just gets put on other people. And I think athletics probably lost about 10 or 12 people over the year. And so you have people like Brian who starts covering baseball and cross country and rowing and track and helping out at like NCAA championships and things. And it's just like, it's been a tough year for him. So everybody take it easy on your social media.
I completely sympathize with it because that happens a lot in the regular corporate world and it's bullshit.
Yeah.
It happened to me a ton of times in my last job and I was not happy about it.
So,
but now I'm happy because those people can screw off. So, but I totally understand it because it's just what they do. No, you could pick up the slack. Yeah, you can pick up the slack. It's not. You just
actually the slack gets pretty heavy. So,
you think
it's been tricky, but I think their budget is going to turn around here. So hopefully things will be okay.
Go buy tickets this weekend, folks. Get down to Mariucci.
I know some of you will be. We'll see.
Yeah. I don't know if I'd love to sneak out of the camp on Saturday and go to the game. I'm just camping in Mankato. It's not a big deal. Have you heard any special events scheduled for the upcoming year? I think you should ask Brian Deutsch about that.
It is a scramble right now for the hockey season. So they're just trying to get their head above water, I think. I know that they had a bunch of stuff planned for the Hunter season and they were going to be trying to do some of that stuff this year. But I think, having trouble setting the game times even is making that very complicated. So I think stuff that we'll see might be later in the year.
Pipe burst in the office? Dude.
He's in part of that old Bierman building. So not the nice, shiny new athlete village.
I don't know if Deutsch would be a good guest right now.
He might be a little grumpy, a little negative. It's okay.
A little?
Hey, look at that. I'm correct. Cool things planned, not ready for announcement. Just like that St. Thomas game that I'm sure that Bob wasn't supposed to share with us this week.
That's happened a few times where Deutsch just kind of goes, oh, shit.
Or like the first day the new goalie coach was on the ice before the announcement went out. Because they'd been waiting to have a goalie coach hired. And here he is on the ice. And I'm there with Frank and Wally in the stands going, is that the new goalie coach? I don't recognize him. That's not one of the guys from the Justin Johnson goalie school or anything. So yeah, so that's interesting. And then, Paul Martin, getting in the social work master's program, that's good for him. So that was kind of up in the air when he first started skating with the team this fall.
Yeah.
But kind of cool that Jack and Paul are in class together on Monday and Tuesday nights. So adds a little something there.
I'm just looking forward to being back at the arena.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to
the band playing. The band will be there this weekend, folks.
Do you think they'll have the mass over the big brass things? They might be able to be distanced with only 7,000 tickets sold. Yeah, the tubas. I feel like the tubas have little things over them. I'm not kidding.
Many times they do, if they want.
Yeah, I haven't really paid that close of attention at the football games, but I feel like I remember seeing that last year. They had some sort of, catch. You got to watch out for those aerosols, Jude.
Get vaccinated.
Yes, please. Like my kids aren't vaccinated yet, so that's always kind of a nerve-wracking thing. It's like my kids, we've gone to some of the football games together. You know, it's outside and we're in section 101, so it's kind of spaced out, you know, so you're not on top of other people all the time, especially the last 2 weeks. You know, the Ohio State game would have been different, so we didn't bring kids to that game, but I'm not ready to bring them into the Mariucci Arena for a game.
What the hell happened last Saturday, Viggs? Is that the most disappointing game you've ever been to? At least in a long time.
The only reason it was so disappointing is because the expectations are actually kind of high. Like you're thinking this team, okay, you know, they played with Ohio State kind of, you know, at halftime, you know, they're right in a game against a top 5, top 10 team. And you're like, okay, this is maybe legit. Struggled a little bit with Miami, Ohio in the second half after a pretty decent first half. Then go on the road and kick the crap out of Colorado. Like a good defense just ran right over their faces. We call that trampling the defense. Herd of elephants. Let's go. And you can't do that to a small Bowling Green team. It just kind of makes me question, you know, Fleck ball a little bit. And maybe if they have Ibrahim, they get away with it because he's such a hard physical runner. You know, when you have the inexperienced backs that they have, maybe you just can't get away with that. But it should not have been that close. Yeah, they don't
trust the quarterback at all.
No.
If he's incomplete, it was clear in week 1 that they don't want him to throw the ball.
No.
And you know, they talk about he's missing these great receivers. Well, you know what? It's Fleck. It's your job to recruit receivers to replace other guys.
And they say they have.
You just got to throw the damn ball too. He wasn't. Even, they're not even trusting him. And if you can't trust your quarterback, you know what? Time to put Annexstead in. I mean, you got to do something because it's clear they just want to run. And if you keep doing that and you're not passing at all, a team can shut you down. And that's exactly what happened.
Yeah, and it's almost bit them in the past. Like I remember that Georgia Southern game was like that. Fresno State was like that. I feel like there's another game or two in there like that where they got away with just running the ball, you know, 45 times a game. You know, sometimes that's going to bite you. So I don't know. You know, it doesn't really change anything about their season. You know, I don't think we were thinking they're going to go to a big bowl game anyway.
No.
But it was tough to watch. But I will be watching on Saturday. I don't think Annexstead gets in.
You don't think he does?
No, I don't think the problem necessarily was with Morgan. I think the problems are with the receivers and maybe with the protection a little bit. I think they were questioning that stuff. So
it was bad.
A lot of season ahead.
True, but still.
It definitely killed their momentum in the media. Boy, Chip Scoggins went after him. Whew.
He should, because that was pretty bad.
It was pretty bad, but it was pretty aggressive out of Chip. I've been making buddies with the guys over at Gopher Illustrated, and they do a podcast over there. If you're a Gopher football fan, it's a must listen. I think they have a former offensive lineman for the Gophers from the olden days, and he's got lots of great insights on Big Ten football. Derek Burns, he's pretty good. And then Ryan Burns is their head reporter over there. He's, you know, a recruiting guy and a quote guy, but he's got some interesting takes on the Gophers and how bad their special teams have been under Fleck and just Fleck ball in general. It's a good listen. And then they do the Pair and a Spare podcast with Chip and JG from KFan. Also good stuff. So if you're a Gopher football fan or you want to enjoy the bonfire that was last weekend, I recommend those podcasts.
There you go.
That's where I get a lot of my takes from. I'm also going to be doing some appearances with a guy named State of Hoppy on Twitter. He has a little
State of Hoppy.
Yeah, he's into hockey and beer. So I feel like
right up your alley.
I feel like we've got a lot of similar things going on. So they're going to try to be doing some hits around, the state of hockey for college. And so I'm going to be helping out with them with some of their Gopher takes over the year. So that'll be kind of fun. Spread the Gopher Puck Live knowledge around a little bit.
Yeah.
This could be a big year for GPL.
Yeah, I'm looking at the schedule. With Nate Wells next week on the podcast, the 13th, Micheletti. And then we've got a couple non-guests. Then we got Molesky right before Wisconsin. Cappy for the 200th episode right before Ohio State. Schlossman, right before Thanksgiving. We got a pretty full schedule coming up. Which is
we'll have to try to get Kinger back on this year. Maybe he'll be a little more comfortable this time. I don't know. Maybe he's lurking in the chat.
Let's go for the longest overtime in history.
Yeah,
which it was for like a week.
Yeah, and I don't think I'm ready to do that again this year.
I can't do that anymore.
I think my overtimes are limited. I'm not going to be doing NCAA tournament
when your
overtimes.
kids are out of high school, we could start much earlier.
Yeah, I'm kind of a night owl, but now that things are somewhat back to normal schedules,
I must say working from home really helps though.
Yeah.
Siski with UMD. I'm sure Siski would come on.
Mm-hmm.
Do I have it? I don't think I have. Maybe I. I was actually. That might be the 20th. The good call. I'll ask about.
Yeah.
Well, you said you thought you might wanted to reach out to a few people as well, so I didn't want.
Yeah. Well,
book everything, but
yeah, you are a booker. You're not the best producer in the podcast business for nothing.
I'm not the best. Obviously, I messed up tonight with recording most basic things, and I'm messing it up.
Good enough. Good enough.
Best producer. The one thing I just do like about this is at least it is all just right on my computer. And this is the only hardware I worry about is the microphone. I don't have all these mixers. I don't have all this other crap going, which a lot of people end up having. Uh-oh.
For Rube, I got to do something too quick. I got to do a little.
Oh,
I got to do a little something else for the Rube.
Oh, boy.
This is a single barrel.
Crookshank on Beyond the Pod tomorrow.
That's good for him. It's a little poor, this one, Rube. It's a weeknight.
Yeah, I should have been drinking that last overtime.
Okay.
Drinking.
Yeah, maybe we could do a Rube invite night where everybody gets 5 or 10 minutes from the regulars.
In overtime?
In overtime.
That could be dangerous.
As long
as Deutsch does it at least once.
Yeah, we could do it as a seminar instead of a normal Zoom meeting, and then you could pick people, and then you could just kick them off when you feel like you need to.
Mm-hmm.
When you do the webinar Zoom meeting, gives you a lot of control.
Webinar, you could just do a Zoom meeting, just send people the link.
I know, but it would give you a lot more control if you did it in the webinar format.
Though, too.
Really?
I think I'd have to look.
That's
another thing I had to do. Lost my job. I lost all those privileges, so I had to get my own pro account for Zoom.
Please go golden on Gopher Puck Live, since I'm going to try to write more, and Jupe is putting so much into this YouTube. We could use some more golden members.
You heard them, folks. Yeah.
If we can get more gold members, maybe I'll write more feature stuff. Since
this is definitely a fan-supported site, folks.
Yep, and we don't put it all behind the paywall yet. We don't want to do it. We don't want to do it, but that we could turn it into a Substack or something. I'd like to support
everything he's saying. We're not. I will retire before I go to a paywall.
I like to support the people that cover the sports I like. So that's why
I was just thinking today. I was just thinking the other day, Viggs. It was 15 years ago that we started covering at Mariucci. It was the 2006-2007 season where we just we didn't have full credentials yet, but we were just hitting certain games that we could and try to get our foot in the door. Got in the Final Five, which ended up being one of the best Final Fives ever, obviously with the Wheeler goal. And so yeah, this is our 15th season actually on site covering Gopher hockey. It all started back with the Oh gosh, I'm forgetting his name real quick. Kevin Kurtz. Kevin Kurtz, who was the Brian Deutsch of that era. He was a GPLer, still is a GPLer, participates once in a while. Don't know.
Yeah.
I know who he is, but most of you don't. But some of you do. Got our foot in the door, and we've been around ever since. So it's been fun.
He's on the fan advisory board, I believe, too.
He could be.
I think he is.
A former Goldie Gopher himself.
Legend.
He's a legend for many reasons.
He's a legend for many reasons. I will never tell. But yeah, I mean, I remember some of my earliest days covering the Gophers in Mankato when Tony Lucia got concussed and run out of the building, and the Mankato fans treated Don very harshly. I can remember a lot of other times when questions went unanswered for me during that era, but as we know, time heals all wounds.
Was that the time where he came out and said, don't have any players, and we had already talked to somebody?
Yeah.
Who was the SID? My name.
Probably Paula, right?
No, well, it was before Paul.
I can't remember.
Skinny, bald-headed guy. I'm just. Oh, jeez. Strick, Jim Strick.
Oh, okay.
He ran all over poor Strick. And I remember, we were down there, and he came in, and he's like, "I don't want you talking about anybody players, no players." And Strick's like, "We already had him interview one guy." It was it was Strick, wasn't it? Not Struck. It was Strick. Yeah, Yeah, Thompson knows. It was Strick. It was before your time. Wait, that would have been.
Deutsch is probably doing. He's doing chores and he's trying to type in.
No, Deutsch was probably
a student. He's probably working for the Daily. Then. He's probably working for the Daily back then. Yeah. No.
Back when Fiona used to show up more in her fish shoes.
Shoes. Yeah. Why wouldn't you do that?
When did you come on the podcast?
Me?
When did you start coming on? Yeah.
It's got to be back.
It was me, Cardinal, and Hammy all along when we first started.
You guys did a nice job. I feel like I came on the podcast when I came back from California. So that might have been. And
Cardinal he started working for the Vikings, and
too demanding. And family. He started that family
and he had
stuff,
kids.
And yes. that. And he wasn't willing to do a podcast in the parking lot in a Honda Civic.
Deutsch says he was there. Were you there for that Mankato meltdown, Deutschy? I don't remember him being there.
We weren't friends yet. Well, yeah, I don't know if we're friends now, but
that was an interesting weekend.
Kidding.
That was an interesting weekend. Is that the one where
we stopped for burgers? Remember with
Ruddles? Did we go to Ruddles?
Yeah, we went to Ruddles on the way there.
On the way down.
Yeah.
And in St. Peter.
And I think Jim met us there.
Yep.
Jim picks.
Picks by Jim.
Picks by Jim.
What it is?
Yeah, picks by Jim.
Yeah, Roosevelt. Yep.
Yeah.
Good to see him. Good times in Mankato.
One of these days. But yeah,
Paul Allen has been very accommodating down there. He's been great. Whenever we ask for credentials, he's more than happy to give it to us. He's been great down there.
Well, he's great for the game of hockey. He did the WCHA Final Five all those years, running that ship.
He did.
And
he was the master of ceremonies in the 2002 NCAA championship at the X. He was kind of running the show. So Paul, he knows his stuff. And he's a Southern boy too.
I don't know if he's listening to us in overtime, but he's a good guy. But yeah, I think about 2009, I feel like or 2010, I jumped up. 2010, 11.
Because didn't we? Yeah, well, this is the 11th season, so I'd have to look it up. That would take work.
I'll figure it out one of these days.
I just have to look on on each podcast, and it'll tell us what the date is and things like that. I see Deutsche. He doesn't remember he was Mankato, but I remember Deutsche being pretty quiet though, as a reporter. Not
Most
like that.
daily,
not like Drew Cove, who just causes trouble everywhere. Oh, I hope Drew does more videos this year. I missed those videos last year.
yeah.
He'd do those live Twitter videos, recapping, and we start harassing him, trying to get him off his game.
Sometime try to hop on, try to do a co video.
We should. Don't call it Mankato State to Paul Allen. Why not?
It's hard with these schools like Mankato and Miami, Ohio, or Miami or Redhawks.
Well,
keep changing your name and people are going to be confused.
Yeah, it was Mankato State when I went there, so I still call it. I'll call Minnesota State. I mean, I don't.
Minnesota State Mankato.
Whatever.
Purple Mavericks.
The Mavs. I compared to how it was in the early days when they would set up tables in the concourse there, the kind of like at the top of the last row, which was crazy. They built those nice little press boxes in the center section of the 300 section up top. And ever since then, that's been great. Watching a game from there is actually a pretty good treat because you're above the cameras, you're above the crowd. Nobody's in front of you. It's a pretty good view. And I actually love shooting from there. Not fond of the Cambria countertops. I know they got them as part of a deal.
Very cold.
Cambria, not a great idea in an ice arena.
It's very cold. Not good for battery life on a laptop.
You're gonna have to put something underneath your laptop, or it's gonna, unless it's plugged in.
It's not gonna make it through a period. It's pro tip.
It is freezing. I will feel the wrath. I'm not worried about Paul Allen. I wonder when we're going to get down to Mankato again. Is there any agreements with Mankato there, Viggs? Or is that kind of done now?
Well, they're trying to do the All Minnesota holiday event again, just at Mariucci though.
Okay.
Just try to get 4 Minnesota teams at Mariucci for that weekend. But I don't know what. I think part of that agreement is they want to try to send, the Gophers to these different rinks as part of their cycle of in-state games. Because I think, Bob knows that they want to support the other programs in the state, even though the other programs don't give a rat about Minnesota.
Yeah. Deutsch says he didn't have power in the WCH. Probably didn't. It was definitely tables that series. Problem I had with that series, overtime, I want to say game 1. I'm in the photo box. It's the only chance I ever get to go in the photo box there. 1 minute in, my shutter fails on my camera. Just stops working. So I'm like, Jim, you want to come stop? Because my camera was dead the rest of the weekend. I mean, I had to have it totally repaired and whatnot. So my shutter on my camera died for that wonderful series in Kato. Big 3 series, 2 doubles and a single overtime. It was crazy. Not happy. So I don't care if you can have power table to Deutsche. My camera working. And the thing is, Jim was in the photo box when Paul was injured, and his head hit the boards, and he has no one ever say what he says he did. He's got some bad photos of that, and thank goodness, because we're not about the photos, but how he.
I think we gotta give your microphone some time to get its overtime legs. There's some legit mic issues happening from the Cotner household.
Seriously?
Yeah.
The funny thing is, I don't hear it, but I know I had problems earlier. So let me mute it. Can you mute this?
Okay, it's gone. It's definitely one of your microphone issues.
Of course, it's my microphone. Talk amongst yourselves for a minute.
Oh boy. I don't know really what to
No
say on
pressure.
my own, other than I've had a lot of fun doing this the last 2 years. I think with the pandemic, this was very helpful for me. So I appreciate the overtime crew. I mean, it's just amazing to me that we have 23 people, 22 people listening to us like just rant about how much fun this is to do and how much we're looking forward to seeing actual hockey happening again. So that's kind of fun. It's always therapeutic to have a.
I might actually would have to restart to fix this damn thing.
Wow, that mic sounds way better now. What did you do?
Are you kidding?
It worked for that first second anyway.
Is it still working or does it sound like crap?
No, it's back to normal. It sounds a little different, but I don't know what you did.
I didn't do anything.
Well, it worked.
I installed some new software today. Can you hear me now, though? Is it okay?
It's better now. Like when you started going off about the Paul Allen and the Cambria countertops, all of a sudden your mic just revolted.
I was wondering why you were doing this.
Maybe I wasn't doing horns up. That's certainly not what I was doing. But I was like, hey, something's going on. This is the stop sign.
You know, I installed some, extra Yeti software today. I think that just messed things up.
This is what they say when you go back to the bar at the red carpet for like, your third trip down the stairs. Like, stop.
Yeah, but it was like a buzzing. There was a buzzing when I was doing some tests earlier.
Yeah, there was some buzzing happening.
It was buzzing, but the thing is, I don't hear it.
Yeah.
It's going through the sources and it's going out, but I'm still hearing myself normal, so I don't hear it. Because I went back and looked, I'm like, the recording, and it was like all this crap. I'm like, what the heck is that? And I don't even know how I fixed that. And even Deutsch is like texting, legit can't hear you. Yeah, blah, blah, blah.
Paul Allen obviously hacked
maybe he did.
Your system. You heard that.
He's great.
Brian Deutsch does raise an interesting question. I wish he would have done this when the buzzing mic was going on. If the UST Gopher game isn't at Target Field like a lot of people are hoping, where would you play it other than Mariucci?
Where
I mean Lake of the Isles.
No, they're not going to build a rink for that.
Well, it's an exhibition. Lake of the Isles always has a rink.
They still want an exhibition to be normal ice.
I know.
And
Lake of the Isles would be pretty cool, especially around Winter Classic time.
The Winter Classic ice is going to be way better than the ice was.
I know.
At TCF.
TCF.
When they did that. Oh, Huntington Bank. Ugh.
So what classic rink in the Metro do you think you'd want?
Well, a lot of people like Braemar. But it's just, they're not going to do the Excel, Steve. It's just, you wouldn't believe how expensive Excel is. That's one of the reasons why we stopped seeing a lot of those other tournaments. It just got too expensive. Unless you're filling it or getting close, you're just not going to see them.
Brian, you spoiled it in the chat. Come on, we were trying to get there slowly. Gosh, you just go right there, Doug Woog Arena. I mean, that would be pretty cool, right?
Which arena? What arena is it?
South St. Paul, Old Wakota.
Wakota. Okay, yeah, that's what I thought. I just wasn't quite sure.
They still do, I think, the Ted Brill there, and they do some other like HP stuff there. I think that would be cool.
It'll be at Mariucci. They'll try to sell it. Try to make money. I mean, if it's not the NHL Classic, they'll just... Are you trying to make money? Basically, I mean, they need to make money.
I mean, obviously, Target Center.
Which may not be around for long.
John Rose Oval would be cool. Outdoor game, John Rose Oval. The ice is always good there. Like I saw
the bandy rink.
Yeah, like my kids did the Matt Dumba Hockey Diversity Alliance hockey camp there with a bunch of kids from North Commons, and like we were running drills with all these kids, and that was pretty cool. That would be a fun experience. because there's some seating there and stuff. Like, I don't think the idea of this exhibition is like to sell tickets. Like, I just don't think that's the case. Because like Wisconsin played their exhibition at like Chippewa Falls or whatever. Like, they're just trying to, do something. But
The outdoor rink in St. Louis Park.
yeah, the rec, that would be good. Johnny Sorensen could host. Kevin Fallness, you could get him involved. Although he's probably not allowed to.
Why do they hate him so much?
I think it's a weird.
Is it just a running joke?
It's a running joke, I think.
It must be. Maybe he's a jerk. I don't know.
I don't think he's a jerk. I've seen him a couple times, and he's very nice.
It's kind of weird how all that is.
It's how obvious it is, but yeah, I don't know. I mean, I think the Oval is a good pick. Doug Wugarino would be great.
Raise money. I like that.
Yeah,
it makes sense to raise money.
It does,
but
it makes sense to raise money for like a Doug Woog cause too. But
bring out the Wooger jerseys again. Sell them like you did last time.
Noms were not coming up north.
Let's start talking about jerseys. Don't talk about jerseys. Don't talk about jerseys.
Okay.
It just makes me angry.
I know you get very possessive of the jerseys. Just go to the, one of our former sponsors. They do a great job.
He actually does.
Kyle does a good job when he has time, or a supplier.
There is that, but
you do have to wait. Get your orders in now if you want something for an outdoor game at John Rose Oval or Doug Woog Arena. Get your order in now. That's all I'm saying.
Isn't it just a big tricky situation with like even the U jerseys? I mean, they can only get new ones like every so many years.
There are some weird budget issues when you have a men's team where their stick budget is like 5 times what the women's team stick budget is, because the men break lots of sticks and the women don't. There's just weird issues at an institution like Minnesota. Maybe if they keep cutting sports like SEC teams do, it won't be an issue anymore. Then maybe Brian can just cover hockey. He won't have to worry about rowing or cross country or.
Well, he needs to do something in the off season though. Maybe
no,
baseball.
he's got to do all hockey. The baseball team was not an easy assignment last year. They were bad.
I'm sure it wasn't. I see Michelle moved up to the men's basketball team. Yeah. Michelle Traversy.
Yeah.
Former Michelle Train used to do the women's hockey forever.
Yeah.
She moved on to volleyball. Now she's going to the men's basketball team. Good for her. She might be the Deutsch. You could probably tell us this. Is Michelle the longest tenured kind of SID-ish person there? She's got to be. I'm guessing. Well, at least that we know. But
yeah.
I'm thinking she is.
Did like Rube's Mighty Ducks won the New Hope Arena, but I don't think that's going to happen.
We know they can make a profit with jerseys. That's they can make a healthy profit. It's all about their supplier.
Yeah.
And not being easy to just go to Nike and have them.
Well, Nike doesn't make hockey jerseys.
They don't. And that's the problem. They don't.
No,
it probably SP probably doing it? I'm not even sure who does them, but
yeah, somebody else makes them for Nike for Minnesota. Like, they don't do hockey jerseys. I've got a buddy who works at Nike. He's like, yeah, hockey would be interesting, but you guys are in kind of a niche thing over there, so it's different. I don't know. I would just love to see ESPN Plus take advantage of its streaming thing to provide a little more college hockey coverage and see where it goes.
Good luck with that.
Well, I mean, it's streaming, so it's just covering the games,
Yeah.
I mean, they cover a lot of weird stuff on there already. I'm telling you. It'd be nice. Growth opportunity. Look at all the fans that watched that random Tuesday night Minnesota Ohio State game. biggest TV network audience, Big Ten history.
Wow. Yeah, it is Michelle, then Paul, then Deutsch. Wow. And Michelle's probably quite a bit longer than Paul. I think she said she was like, it's like your 20th year there or something close to that. Yeah.
Tom suggested CHS Field, but I just don't buy that as a budget solid option.
You know, if you're going to do outdoors, it's going to be Target Field. You're not going to do another outdoor play just because of the quality
or Huntington and the seats. Like you're not going to invest that kind of money in an ice sheet unless it's going to sell a lot of tickets. It's just the way it goes. But that's why the John Rose Oval would be great. You could put some bleachers there or something. It'd be really cool. Don't repeat that. That's there's a reason that's sent by text. It's a tough time to be a U employee.
You think?
So. I'm not going back to the office, by the way. I dropped my parking pass. I'm biking to media availabilities these days. Coming down from Northeast Minneapolis on my Schwinn, locking it up on the bike rack. It's gonna. I might have to actually maybe pay some meters and stuff as we get later in the winter, but a lot of people are moving off campus for work, telecommuting.
Yeah, that looks like at 3M they're going to give us a choice of where we're going to work, like a hybrid if we want, come in when we need to. I've been working there since May. I've never been to the office. I don't have an ID, so I couldn't get in the office if I tried. And all the space that they had for our web development team is now getting reconfigured, for more like open areas, like just workspaces.
Yep, bullpens.
With the plan that you're not going to work there every day. You're just going to come in when you need to.
Yeah.
And I know that I believe that the building that Gray Eagle was in Woodbury, they gave up the building. They gave up the space. They're not even using it anymore. So if he goes back, he would have to go back to the main office as well. So I've been home since I did have a couple days at work before they let me go at the last job. We were going in like 2 or 3 times a week for about a month, or maybe it was just a couple of weeks for me before I got fired. I can't remember. Good times. Yeah, I just if they're gonna play, it's gonna be at Target Field.
Well,
ice already there. It's good ice. Either there or Mariucci.
I just have this weird feeling. The Wild and the Gophers do not get along very well. They just don't. Like, I don't know where it started or how it's happened, but like the Twins and the Wild have this weird synergy where they're like cool with each other, but no one seems to get along with Minnesota very well. So I just don't think Minnesota is going to get asked to the Winter Classic stuff unless like it's someone like Gary Bettman stepping in and saying, hey, come on, let's rise above it. This is one of your premier programs in the state. They should be involved.
I wonder
because they did that with BC and BU, I think, when it was, or somebody from Boston played at the Winter Classic from Boston at Fenway. But I don't think it's going to happen. So I think that's why maybe Brian Deutsch is floating this little thing here where the Gophers in St. Thomas will be playing somewhere after Christmas in a place that's not Target Field. I feel like I can read the innuendos of an SID somewhat well. I've been doing this maybe for a while where I know that someone can't tell me something, but maybe can't tell me something. I don't ever want to get Brian in trouble. He does more work than he should, but you can, being around the rink, you can just kind of tell stuff just by using your reporting skills. and observing.
Vigs, we hear a lot of things,
Yeah.
especially during the season. Out after the games, hearing post-game comments, from other members of the media, from referees. We do hear a lot.
Scouts, people from NHL teams who are around, parents, boosters, alumni. There's a lot of people who hear things that maybe were told in confidence that they don't know was told in confidence, and it just somehow trickles around. And
so I wonder what's the
that's why I love being back on campus for stuff. It's so much fun.
I mean, what's the deal with the Wild then in Minnesota? Why does everyone hate Minnesota?
They compete for fans. They compete for ratings. When the Wild started, the Gophers beat them in ratings for a long time.
They back in the 2000s when the Wild first came around, the Gophers were beating them and the Timberwolves by a solid ratings point, which is huge in the local.
Like Woog and Mazzocco were just like
they were
they're a runaway train. They had a fan base and people could count on them, and they were something. Those were the days. Final Five. Wild were almost trying to tap into the Final Five to grow their season ticket base. Like become a season ticket holder for the Wild and get priority for the Final Five. That was a thing.
Yeah, but you know what? That heyday was 10 years ago now.
I know.
What's the deal? I mean, there's no reason to be bitter anymore.
There's some people that hold grudges for a long time. I have a feeling I have one assistant coach who probably will never return a text to me again for a small little thing. It's just like stuff like that happens.
Was he at the golf event? I heard he was at the golf event.
Oh yeah. I mean, Bob heals a lot of grudges, but there are people who aren't as important to everybody. So,
it's good to be back at overtime.
I know.
Yeah, Gensel. I liked having him around.
He's good for stuff.
Except when I mentioned what he said on the bench once, which Deutsch beat the crap out of me for.
Well, I think there's a reason why he had to do that. Someone told him to. Yeah.
Good times.
Some people they just have different attitudes towards stuff. I'm pretty easy going for the most part, but
okay. Have you been watching the Peyton and Eli stuff on Monday Night Football?
I haven't yet. I am so disengaged from the NFL this year. I am the same way. I stopped playing fantasy football, and
I never played it.
I'm a little sick of some of the guys from Purple, so I've kind of disengaged a little bit.
I haven't watched Monday Night Football in 15 years. I mean, I just don't. Unless the Vikings point, I never watched it.
I used to be a diehard watcher.
I saw people tweeting about this. I'm like, what the heck? Yeah. And then I even went to ESPN too, and it didn't even say that they were on. I'm like, oh, I'll just turn it on, and boom, they were. And it's entertaining because they just needle each other all the time. They have, they're guests. They had LeBron James on during the game, and they've had a ton of big guests on during the game, and they're just sitting there talking and BSing. And I think it's entertaining. They're not coming back for a couple weeks. They're taking a couple weeks off now. I think they're be back like week 7 or something like that. But I think it's because, like I said, now I just turned it on because Monday nights isn't a big night. I just turn it on and I just do other stuff and just kind of pay attention when they've got somebody on or they're just talking about stuff. And it's fun because right before a playoff happened, Peyton will say, "This is the coverage. They're going to do this. They're going to do that. He just changed the call." That's kind of insight you don't hear from anybody else.
I love when ESPN does that coaches cast of the national championship football game, and they've just got like 5 or 6 coaches in like a conference room with pizza, watching the game, breaking down film during the game, like saying, "Oh, this is what's happening here. This is what I would do," or, "Oh, this is a mistake. They didn't do this right." I eat that up. I wish there was more of that. I wish there was something like that with hockey.
It's very similar to that, but obviously you've got that brother dynamic with those two. And
it's a little more.
Their chemistry is really great.
Yeah. I think from what I've heard and what I've seen in clips, it's a little more entertainment than
it
breaking
is
down
definitely more
everything.
entertainment.
You know,
And
there's some of that Tony Romo type stuff where he's just like calling out, yep, I see that. That's what that is. This is what the quarterback is doing, you know. But I love seeing that.
Yeah, Tim's like they do talk over each other. Yeah, but that happens. I'm not sure how well they see each other because I know apparently, you know, Eli's doing it from his basement. Peyton's doing it from like a warehouse or something. Like he does not doing it in his house, but in Denver. That's just kind of one of the things though with the remote type of thing. They've got a huge wall of screens in front of them, and they, you know, I'm guessing Eli's a little thing over here, and Peyton's a little. I mean, they only see each other barely a little bit. It's not like you and me where this video has really kind of helped us. You know, when you're done talking, you kind of see the next person can talk. So we're not talking over each other as much as we did in the old days before we were doing video.
And I think we've gotten a little more used to when you can tell when the other person's done and when you can jump in, and when someone's looking for the other person to jump in or something like that. That takes time and a little bit of chemistry, and it doesn't happen right away. I think even like press conferences, it takes a while for reporters to kind of figure it out. That's why you sometimes have like the daily kid who just like doesn't know what's going on.
So how was it this week? You know, it looked like you guys are a little further back, and they've got the player and they've got the coach behind a stand. I was kind of seeing. I mean, how'd that work out?
Yeah, I thought it went okay. It's going to be trickier if more people are showing up. Because I think
media day usually is kind of during the week. It's always been kind of big. That's when you get the television stations kind of come in there, getting their cameras, getting their shots for the week. So it tends to be pretty crowded. But after games, I guess it just depends on, you know, the opponent. Sometimes there's 4 of us down there. Sometimes there's 10 of us down there.
After games is usually pretty normal, but sometimes these like availabilities during the week can get really crowded if all the TV stations send their people and all their cameras. And then if the Star Tribune starts sending 2 people and the Pioneer Press actually sends somebody, you know, because Jess is there all the time. I try to be there as much as I can. And then, you know, it's the Pioneer Press and TV people and Star Tribune people, you know, that
I actually enjoyed last season. I loved the Zooms because obviously I'm working, but kind of I could just take time out to attend a Zoom. That was very nice.
Yeah, I mean, I like the Zooms because you don't miss it. But there's just something about being there. And
true.
You know, when I really start walking on something or working on something, I want to talk to somebody one-on-one. You can't do that on a Zoom. Like, you know, you work with a nice guy like Brian, be like, hey, can I grab someone for 10 minutes after this? Can do it. Can't do that in a Zoom. Or if like you wanted to ask a follow-up to Bob in a Zoom, it's really hard to do sometimes. But when you're in person, you could grab him in the hallway and be like, hey, you said this. I didn't get a chance to jump in and ask a follow-up, but can you answer that? And he is usually more than happy to do that. Players can be trickier because they've got to get somewhere or whatnot, but
they're usually going upstairs to, you know, meet
to
with
lift,
their parents and
lift. Well, for games, they're going up to see their parents, but like for the availability during the week, you know, they've got to get to class, they got to lift, they got to eat, they got to get their nutrition, they got to ice, they got to do rehab, you know, whatever it is. You know, sometimes the players have more responsibilities, but it's great to be able to see the coaches.
Manning's only drink lemonade. I know. I highly recommend the Manning thing. It'll be back in a couple of weeks, or week 8 or 7 or 8. It is like Mystery Theater 3000 for the NFL, just like Brent said.
And that's good stuff. I mean, I think that's a good look for the league.
And you know what? They've got a viewer in me. I wasn't watching Monday night. I don't care about Monday Night Football at all.
I would love if they would throw like a coach type person in there on top of it to help break down some of the stuff.
They bring in current players too. I mean, they had Stafford on right after he played. I mean, Stafford was on this past week, and the Alabama coach, what's his name?
Saban.
Saban was on in the third quarter.
Oh, missing out. I love Nick Saban.
This Monday, it started with Stafford, Then it was basketball. Why am I'm just like, it was Stafford, then LeBron in the first half. Then it was Saban and Chris Long in the second half. Chris Long had just retired the last couple of years.
Okay.
So, and I think their first week they had like Barkley on for a little bit. And I mean,
I will have to check it
and
out.
Archie was on for a little bit too. He came and sat next to Eli for a little bit.
Invited himself on.
And then of course they started getting the tweets, I always knew it. Eli's living in his parents' basement. I mean, and then they have these, they throw some tweets up there. Yeah, that's like Enberg says. Saban was on for a little. Saban was an okay guest. They did have video of Saban taking Eli on a tube ride and just knocking Eli off the tube, and so
that's funny.
It's a fun show.
There was a HBO special with Saban and Belichick on HBO a couple years ago, and it was just awesome because you could tell it was pretty much unscripted type stuff. Mm-hmm. And when you have two guys like that talking ball to each other, it's just like, that's awesome.
And one of these, and Saban was like a defensive back coach for Belichick in Cleveland.
Yeah,
he was talking about.
So they work together. Yeah. So I'm hoping one of these days I can maybe do something where I can get Don to watch a hockey game with me, and like.
He's doing too much CCHA stuff.
Well, maybe he'll watch a CCHA team play Minnesota and actually like give me something about it. Because I mean, aren't you just dying to know like what he thinks when he watches a game and he's far enough removed where it's not so hot? Because I think, when he left, he was pretty much just like, I'm just going to give space. People are mad at me. I get it. I really want to have one last
He did
run.
his year and then he was gone.
He's like, I want to have.
We saw him at the rink quite a few times that year, and then he was gone.
Yeah. He's like, I'm just giving some space. But once like that space happens, it's like Don knows a lot about hockey. He's a pretty smart hockey guy.
Yes.
And like, I remember once he gave me like an hour and a half sit down where we like hash things out, and we had a lot of background stuff, and like we kind of got to know each other and talk like strategy and stuff. And he like let me under the hood, and I was just like, what the hell, man? It's like, show more of this to people and you will be.
He keeps his vest very close.
It's like
he keeps his personality for his close friends, and that's about it. Like you said, you got him to open up after a little while, but it's like that never showed to me.
That took 8 years.
That took
8 years of showing up to stuff for him to do that. And when you see that, you're just like, man, if you would have just did that a little sooner to maybe a few more people, like perceptions would be a little different, like going forward. And it's like, maybe in a couple of years, like something like that would happen. But
you could compare that right to the Wooger.
Yep.
The Wooger didn't, I mean, his teams were not that good, but because he had personality and he showed it, it wasn't long until he was on TV, and the rest is history.
And it was, I mean,
because he was run out too.
Yeah. When Woog passed away, like I kind of got a lot of the backstory about how that went. And I think Wooger had a hard time, like stepping away from the rink and like not being there. Cause I think the desire was still there to be there every day. Mm-hmm. And so it was kind of, footing around, like, how can we have him around the program, and make it comfortable for Don? And it's like, is it right to have him on TV right away? And is he going to be a good fit? And how's it going to work? He's never done
right
TV.
Around that time, that's when Tom Reed left to go to the Wild. And Reed Larson came in for that year.
That's a tough year.
It was a tough year. And it was at the end of that year where they kind of brought the Wooger in as a third guy. The next season, Wooger was the full-time guy.
What magic that was.
But like I said, they ran him out.
Yep.
I mean, they kind of ran him out, and then Lucia got the job. I think it could have really helped Lucia if he showed some of that personality, because he didn't show some of that personality to a lot of people who he saw every day. And maybe he'll be
too bad.
maybe he's a little different now that he's cutting away from coaching, and now he's getting obviously running the CCHA. Who knows? I'm guessing he's still living locally. He's going to run it. Is the CCHA running out of here?
I feel like it from what I can tell.
Because you got Mankato here, you've got St. Thomas here.
I mean, St. Thomas is becoming pretty influential, I think, in the CCHA, even though they're a new school. Like, they've got lots of money. They probably have more money than anybody else in the CCHA coming in, donations.
Oh, could be, yeah. Yeah.
Like, as a school.
But do they have the space? I mean, you're going to...
For a rink?
Well, it's not just a rink. They're going to need some kind of football stadium, too.
Well, the football is going to be slower. Football's going to be slower.
It's going to be slower, but if you want to be a Division I team, you're going to have more than a 15, 20,000 seat place. You're going to probably have 30 or 40,000, aren't you?
They're playing non-scholarship D1 football. They are basically playing at the same level as they were before, except against different schools. Like, as much as they say they're playing D1 football, none of their players are on scholarship.
Okay.
No one they're playing has players on scholarship. It's all financial aid. So it's weird. It's dark arts recruiting and financial stuff. People are getting leadership scholarships. They're getting weird financial aid. They're getting weird work study that they probably don't have to show up for. That avenue is weird. But the hockey program, they're going to get a nice rink. I think it's going to be in St. Paul, maybe by the river somewhere. It's going to be nice.
What do you think of CC building such a small rink?
Smart.
What was it like? You think it's smart? Under 5,000?
Yep. I think it's smart.
Was it 38 or something like that? That's
you ever been to a game at CC?
Obviously, the World Arena is a lot bigger.
I know, but you ever been to a game there?
I think a good 5,000, 6,000 seat arena is probably a good idea.
Look at Penn State. They could obviously sell more tickets than they're selling. But you know what? That building's packed every game.
How big is it?
I think Pagula's like 5,000.
Still 5,000.
But their students are different at PSU than CC. You got to understand the CC
Well, it's
student.
a much larger university, too.
Yeah.
I mean, it's a huge university.
Yeah, the CC student is not a PSU student. It's totally different.
350 student tickets. Trying to figure out what that means.
I'm guessing maybe CC was only given 350 student tickets.
I don't know.
But I'm just saying.
In CC, speaking of student tickets, they better show up at Mariucci this year. They sell all the tickets, show up.
They're showing up for football. Even for the bad games, they've showed up so far.
That's good.
They might not show up for the one after Purdue, but they've showed up so far. Maybe they'll just all move on to hockey, hopefully. But CC, like, it's a different crowd, man. Like, I know people who went to that school, and I just know going there on a couple road trips because it's cool. Like, Colorado's cool. I like Colorado, it's fun. But the CC fan base, it is small, passionate, but very small. Even if they're good, it's small.
Weren't they selling out the World Arena back in the old days?
I mean,
good teams, little Swanson kids.
Maybe for some games, but you are never going to have a CC that's drawing 8,000 fans. It's just not going to happen. Mm-hmm. So just make it small, intimate. Try to pack it, even when your team's not great, because you'll go for football. Like, they've had a season ticket base, I think, around 13 or 14,000 for a while. Maybe it's lower than that. But those fans, I feel like, show up every week. And the team gets good, they start selling 40, 50,000 seats or whatever. But those hardcore fans show up all the time. I think at CC, your hardcore fans, probably 2,500 people. Make sure they get the games and then just try to fill it in with the rest. I think that's smart. Atmosphere in hockey is everything. You go to these...
And it was 350 seats for the student section at CC.
Yeah. I mean, you go to these empty regional games, it's not awesome. It's not great. It's not a good look. It's not fun. Even the players knows it. They know it's a serious game, and no one, it's a third of the building's full. So if you have a full building, even if it's small, heck, when you go to a section hockey game, a section hockey final at Braemar and it's packed, that feels way different than going to like the state consolation games at Mariucci.
Yeah, but
It's
even
probably the
that
same
is-
amount of people.
Even that is still not the same because I went to section finals at Met Center in the 80s, and I went to section finals at Mariucci in the 90s. I mean,
but I'm just saying,
the most packed I've ever seen Mariucci was actually a double header, section 5, section 6, whatever it was, in the mid 90s. It was literally 10 deep in standing room. It was crazy.
I mean, I've seen that at Mariucci too for like some of the section final games with like EP and Apple Valley and
it's just
schools
been a
like
while.
that.
They don't quite do it now, but they did.
Right. But like going to see, Edina and Benilde at Braemar for a section semi and it's just packed. That's a lot of fun. Seeing Holy Angels and Minnetonka or something at, big and it's packed. That's a lot of fun. If you had the same amount of people in a bigger rink, it's just not the same. Mm-hmm. So that's all I'm saying. I think CC's smart because they know they're not ever going to be huge. St. Thomas should be smart too. They're never going to be the hugest thing, but they're going to have loyal St. Thomas people that will pay more for an intimate building. That's all I'm saying. Like going to the Kohl Center and seeing a half-empty building for a Wisconsin game, it's not as fun as...
Not like the old days.
Yeah.
Because when they filled it with the stupid fans they have, it was still fun. They were loud. Not educated, but loud.
Yeah. Yep. And Deutsch is right. CC's kind of a small, weird school.
It is.
They take one class at a time. Oh, it's October. I've got a new class. Oh, November, new class. December, go home. January, come back.
That
it's like J term year round.
Pretty nice though.
It does look cool.
Nice. I love all the glass, the light coming in. I don't know how they'll work during the day if they have any day games, but it's a nice little arena.
What's ASU's building going to be? Because I'm worried it's too big.
I'm not sure. I haven't looked it up. I know they're working on it now. I know that
because I feel like that.
Because that's kind of what I believe all the Big Ten teams are going to be waiting until that arena is done until they start reciprocating the league from last year.
Because like UConn also went really small with their rink. They went with like a 3,500 seat rink, which I think is smart. It's smart. I mean, I know they spent a lot of money on it, but make it small, make it a home ice advantage. Don't make it too big and ruin yourself. I mean, how cool would Mariucci be if it was 8,000 seats? We would not be talking about attendance because there would always be 8,000 fans for Minnesota.
The funny thing is, though, is when they change the ice size, they're going to probably add a couple hundred more seats.
I don't know if that's true anymore. I know the drawings say that.
Yeah, at least had a row on the sides. At least was it one row or whatever.
But there are discussions of them like doing some sort of like suite or like plaza kind of thing to like kind of change the atmosphere. I don't know. I think that would be cool to see just because I think it would change things up. It's really amazing when you've got almost 11,000 people at Mariucci for a game, but that's just not happening very often. So
it's not, unfortunately. I mean, you talked about season tickets earlier, and there was a season ticket waiting list for a long time, and it was close to 10,000 people.
No,
and the season ticket base was probably close to 7,000-8,000, maybe. I mean, is that what your numbers kind of showed back in the day? I don't know how far your numbers go back, but it was pretty high. It's half that now, maybe.
Yeah, well, not quite half, but I can't remember off the top of my head. You'll see it in the article on GPL this week.
Well, that's a self plug right there. I like that.
Well, our 19 viewers on overtime. We're losing people. It's late for me.
Well, people go to bed, so it is probably should shut her down.
I got
because I got a lot of editing to do still.
Yeah, I probably got one sip left here.
It was a good show, except for all my idiot problems that I got to go.
No one knew that stuff until you told them.
But that's fine. But they'll notice it in the video because the video, you always know when I mess up the recording of the video, because if it says Zoom down there, it means I have to grab it off of YouTube and re-edit it. The live broadcasters usually get the smoothest stuff, and then we just chop it up and edit it, and that's it. But
you do great work.
Yeah, I was like looking at it,
all.
I'm like, shit, I'm not recording. Damn it. I literally stopped recording and then turned on the track. So at about 3:20, it starts recording the all tracks the way it should be. So
I had to wear my Ryder Cup stuff tonight. USA. You don't even know what that is. Do you know what that is?
Of course I know what it is.
I don't know. Maybe you're tuned out. Maybe you're all on Mining Cast.
There was a huge sign over in Chaska when they had and I drive through there all the time, and I was there with the blimp. And
do you know that the state of Minnesota Department of Transportation wasn't going to let them put that sign up? They had to get governor approval to put that sign up.
On the bike bridge that goes across 212. Are you serious?
I'm serious. The governor had to go, hey, come on. This is the Ryder Cup. Let him do it. Pretty funny. Things you learn when you read books. It's amazing.
Johnny D, this OT shit's cool. Long-time listener, first-time watching.
Johnny D is a Northeast guy, apparently. He might be giving me a ride one of these days. I don't know.
You're going to be like Nate. Doesn't Nate ride the bike when it's really cold too?
I'm not going to ride the bike.
Or he did. He's out.
I'm not going to ride the bike when it's cold. I'm going to figure something else out. But while it's nice like this, I mean, I'm going down to practice tomorrow, hopefully. They were off today.
Like I said, I usually try to hop along with Rob Scheel of the stats team. And I don't know if we'll be able to get together this week for Sunday's game, but hopefully we can. It saves me $10 in parking.
So you get free parking? Or does he pay for it?
No, he doesn't pay for it because he's an employee. He's doing stats. So
I was an employee for the long time at the U. I'm almost 20 years now. I'm giving it a hard time.
Well, then I don't ask me.
It's okay. I paid, I don't know, what was it? $150 a month for about 14 years to park at the U.
Wow.
For my job. Steve, it's okay. I'll figure it out. I'm gainfully employed, so is my wife. We're doing just fine. I'll figure it out. I appreciate it, though. Appreciate you. Ted Lasso.
All right, we're shutting it down, Viggs. I got to go do some editing, and hopefully I can grab some of this audio off the video for the first 3 minutes of the podcast. Otherwise, it's going to be some trouble.
Good to do this again. Good to see you. Stay well.
We'll see. Oh, yeah, I may not see you this weekend.
I'm gonna go Saturday, and then I got to coach Sunday, so I'm gonna have to catch up on streaming.
I would love to get out Saturday. I just don't think I'm gonna be able to make it happen, but we'll catch up. So
yeah,
you still want that kind of microphone stand? It's a little different than this one.
Yeah, I'll
bring
give it a shot.
All right.
I just got this little deal.
Same microphone though. My new stand actually came with this nice little cover. So
yeah.
All right. You stay out of trouble, kid.
Yeah.